Riblets. It's me, Tom from Target Prime Rib. I hope everybody is doing pretty freaking fantastic. I know I'm doing pretty well. I had a pretty good day today, and it's continuing on with my special guest, Kelly Deweese, from Broken Carnivore. Yeah, sorry about that, guys. I forgot to mute. I always keep this on both. Um, my streaming service and my YouTube. So sometimes I forget to mute the YouTube version. So I do apologize, everyone. So before we actually go on, um, hello, Kelly. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
It's good. Um, and so I'm looking at your sweatshirt and it says Mills, and I'm guessing Mills is also your hat too. Does Mills represent
Yes,
anything important to you? Or
Mills is actually the company I work for. They're based out of St. Louis, Missouri.
okay.
They not only own but they manage probably 8,000, almost 10,000 units, apartments between St. Louis, and we have 5 properties in Columbia. And I am a maintenance supervisor at the one of the properties in Columbia, Missouri.
Oh, that's cool. That is really cool. So um, so far we have Sandy in the chats. We have a person I don't recognize. Maybe you recognize them, or maybe they changed their name because of the YouTube algorithms or whatever. Fluff 12. So I don't know if you know who that is, if that's anybody in your neck of the woods. And then we also have Jemmet, which we all know. I think we all know. Carnivore Whisperer, which is Lisa. Hello, Lisa. I'm so glad. And my carnivore sister, Tanya, Kitchen Witch, and Sandy is actually my carnivore mom. So we have our like own family. And then we have John, Together Strong. Hello, John. Granny Boo is here. And I'm sure more people are going to join in. But so far, these are the people that were waiting for us to start the story, to start the process. But before we actually start you telling your story and everything like that, and if we can get me to shut up, then we will. But yeah, it depends if I can or not. I did. Oh, Lizzie just joined in. So did Bride's Biscuit. So hello, guys. Um, what brought on the name Broken Carnivore?
Well, broken it means for me is it's not broken because my body is broken. It means we're all spiritually broken, and I am a Christian. I usually hate to say Christian because it sometimes get way overused, but I am a believer. I believe that Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, and I believe He died on the cross for me that He didn't have to do, and therefore, no matter what, this is not a perfect world. This is a fallen world. We all make mistakes and we're always going to be broken. So that's where the broken comes from.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Hello, Gary. How are we doing? Do you know Gary No Slow? Oh,
I
I'm
kind
sure.
of know him through kilts and through here and through our small family we have.
Yeah. I always say that all my riblets are just amazing. Um, I mean, it's amazing how much we've been sickened by by everything, and how we were so overlooked. I think a lot of us, and this is I just find the community to be so amazing, including you. Um, and I think that I think that we're on a path that's good. So, I'm going to obviously you're here to tell your story, right? So tell me a little bit about yourself, and tell us about your journey, like your being, so to speak, you know.
Well, I grew up most of the time as a kid in the 80s. I grew up on a farm. I always had a passion to be a farmer. I always had a passion, we had horses where I live growing up, but also growing up in the 80s, we grew up with the Saturday morning cartoons, grow up seeing all those commercials of Fruity Pebbles, Honey Nut Cheerios, McDonald's, all that stuff. And so we always wanted that. So as I was getting older, I probably about second grade, I started gaining some weight. I was always the biggest in my class. And so I was always overweight. Um, Probably about 2004, about 2000, I started my career. I actually, before I do what I do now in maintenance, as apartment maintenance. I used to be industrial maintenance, where it's factory maintenance, where we do 483 phase to robotics to injection molding. And probably I was offered a job as a injection molding tech, and I had to go do a mold change, and I slipped and nicked my leg. Well, also in that time, I was also a smoker. I smoked cigarettes. I smoked almost 2 packs of cigarettes a day at the time. Also was probably gaining weight rapidly. And I got sick because I didn't realize that I had oil affected that wound that nicked on my leg, and I almost lost my leg to due to gangrene. I was also was going to become a father. My oldest daughter was conceived around this time, and I was also planning on getting married. This is married to my daughter's mother, and we ended up getting married. Luckily, I didn't lose my leg. I had to have surgery to remove some of the dead tissue. um, did heal, but over time I rapidly gained weight. I had issues with the infection, with cellulitis infection and stuff like that. And so, probably around 2007, I noticed that I couldn't weigh myself on a normal scale. And so, I worked third shift at the time, so I went back and they had a big scale. So I get on the scale, and now this is the first time I weighed over 400 pounds, and I'm like, I got to do something here. This is not right. So I decided to do like everybody else, was just do the moderation, was go on a diet. That's all the thing we known for years. And so I did lose some weight, but I couldn't get the weight, and I had enormous, I still had issues with the cellulitis. And finally, probably fall of 2007, I had enough and said, I had a doctor that knew, he says, I can have this taken care of. We can just set this up. I didn't realize I had varicose veins and I had poor circulation. He already spotted it on, and I should have listened to him at the time. And I was like, so I went to urgent care. I told him what this, I want to see a nutritionist. And I said, I want to get this weight off. Plus, I want this taken care of. And I said, I had a doctor said that he could take care of it. That doctor knew exactly what it is. And he sent me to a vein specialist, found out that I had bad varicose veins. I had that surgery. I end up losing more weight, and I got down to probably 315, but that's about the lowest I went. And then kind of crept up and then went back down. Over time, I fought my weight. And then my second daughter conceived. And of course, that was the time that the gas stations around where I worked at decided to do the 79-cent soda. And this is a 32 ounce. So I ended up drinking a lot of it and ended up gaining almost all that weight back. And then I lost that weight back down, and then just back and forth over time. I would get down, lose weight, and I always dealt with that. So finally, and then I quit. Of course, I quit smoking the first time. Then I made the stupid move, went back to smoking. I made another stupid move and decided to go chew tobacco, that like the Copenhagen and stuff, not realizing how bad nicotine can wreck your blood vessels. And as a man, uh, it gets, it's embarrassing when you have erectile dysfunction, and didn't realize that this was causing it. I was causing it by chewing, and I wasn't no light chewer. I was a heavy chewer. I'm very lucky that I'm talking to you today without with a mouth, or I'm not, at least I'm still here. And so when I started having issues, and I found out when I researched it, and my eyes got like really big, I'm like, I got to quit. How am I going to do that? I just, after the end of the day, I stopped, got me something to drink. I just threw that stuff away, took the dip out of my mouth. I never picked it up since. So it took a little bit, but then here comes COVID around 2020. And, we had a lot of stress, stuff like that. And I'm like, I'm going to try to eat healthy and stuff like that. But I end up gaining, I almost was back to 400 pounds. I'm like, I got to do something here. I can't do this. So I decided, you know what? If I can drink my coffee plain and black, I can drink my tea unsweet. So I got rid of the soda. I got rid of the sweet tea, went to unsweet tea, and I decided to just go ahead and do away with any added sweets, but not being knowledgeable that carbs of breads and starches were do the same effect as sugar. I did lose probably about 10 pounds. Went to see the doctor, and I told her, I remember I did this Venturamine, and that's during when I found out about the high blood pressure. So when I talked to her about it a year later, she asked, "What are you going to do different than you had before?" I said, "I took away all sweets. I did this." So she said, "Okay, let's give it a try." I lost 15 pounds, but unfortunately could not lose any more. And then this was early 20 this is New Year's of 2021, and I just discovered him by accident. And this is when I found Dr. Barry. This is where I discovered keto carnivore. And he I didn't even know. I fell asleep to the watching it on the TV, and I woke up and said, "Who in the world is this quack? And what is this quack selling? What kind of supplements is he selling?" And then it dawned on me that he wasn't selling anything. He was giving free advice, and it was the video that really started us all was 7 ways to boost your testosterone naturally for free. And he gave what to do. And it's like, okay, I'm going to watch another video. I think I stayed up like 3 hours just watching Dr. Berry videos. But what really got the turning point is we're always had this mindset, okay, I'm going to go on a diet. I'm going to do better, but I'm going to wait till Monday. It's always best on Monday. And he had a video says, if you're listening to this video or watching this video this morning, and you want to start, why wait? Or if you're watching this video at night, why wait till Monday? Start the next day. And so that got me motivated. I started a 16/8 intermittent fasting. And really, technically, I kind of started carnivore before I kind of went more into keto. And so I started losing weight. I noticed a big change. And then I discovered Dr. Eric Berg. And this is where I did the balance with keto. And this is where I didn't have the knowledge of the plant toxin like oxalates and lectins and stuff like that until this last year. And so I was doing great. I was doing clean keto. I lost 85 pounds. I mean, I got down to below 300, and I was getting stuff done on the property, brush hogging. I was getting the same fence row that I did videos on. I got it cleared. I cleaned out a lot of stuff, cleaned out around my lagoon area. I did all this stuff. But then I noticed, as time goes, I noticed that I was getting stiffer and stiffer in my right hip, and I wasn't sure what the heck was going on. I know I had a fall accident twice on ice, and it's the same spot 4 years apart. I know part of that was the issue, but I didn't realize that I also was loading myself up with a lot of oxalates when I was eating spinach. And then come around 2022, I was doing great. But then this is where I discovered the keto treats, the keto cookies, the keto bread, not knowing that, hey, this is not keto. It's just labeled keto. And so I end up kind of slowly creeping the weight back. And then I had to take 2 trips that year, one to Minnesota, one to St. Louis. And both of them, my metabolism must have tanked because I gained 10 pounds instantly. And I stayed around 320, and I could not even bulge it. And also that same year was my very first mission trip I went on. And of course, I was doing good. And then all of a sudden, here's the donuts, here's Coca-Cola, here's the tamales. And that I fell off of that thing. So keto wasn't sustainable. So, I get right back on, but then I couldn't even lose the weight. It was slowly creeping up, and I was getting more hurt. It was hurting worse and worse and worse. And then the worst year was 2024. I was in so much pain with this hip. My left knee was hurting. My left foot, not knowing that I have a serious issue, but also I was building up with the oxalates. And what I thought was I was eating healthy, that I was harming my body with the plants. And so July of 2024, I decided to. I was in an apartment. We had a flood, and I was also on call responding to that flood. We had heavy rains, and it flooded apartments. And one of the apartments, I decided we got to put new flooring in here, and I decided to do new baseboards. And I'm like, this is the day I made this big decision. And I was talking to my manager. This is the game plan. I don't know how I'm going to get this done. We'll get it done and all that. But I said, I got to go home. I'm hurting. And he said, okay. I was going to take some ibuprofen and stuff like that because I was taking 800 milligrams of ibuprofen almost every day just to relieve the pain. And it was hard to sleep. I mean, I get some rest, but it was hard for me to get comfortable. And then I decided, well, let's just stick it out. And that's like, you know what? I'm going to give this carnivore a try today. Let's go. I'll go get some burger patties. I saw Dr. Berry a video short that he went to McDonald's and he got burger patties. I'm like, okay, you can order those. So I ordered some. I'm like, okay. And I'm starting to feel a little better. It's kind of residing. So I made it through the day, went home, and I decided, you know what? I am hungry. So I had me 2.5 pounds of ground beef, 4 eggs over easy, and like 6 pieces of bacon. Ate all of it. I was stuffed. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to gain a lot of weight because this is a lot of food. I get on the scale and I'm like, whoa, I lost 4 pounds here. This ain't right. I ate all of this meat. So I was like, you know what? Let's give it another day. And I'm feeling pretty good. So I go to another day. I had the same thing. And I noticed I lost more weight. I'm like, this ain't right. I should be gaining weight with all this food I ate. And so Sunday comes around, same thing. I was dropping weight. And then comes around Monday, I'm like, oh, the dreaded Monday. Here I'm going to be back to work and I'm going to be hurting by the end of the day. And so I'm like, okay, I'm feeling pretty good. It's decent. So Tuesday comes around. This is the day that we're putting the baseboards, the same day, the same apartment that I made the decision to try carnivore. And so I get in there. We start at 9 a.m. By 12, we already had the baseboards in. I had them caulked in place, and it's all back to the shop. And I'm like, wow, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm a little sore, but not bad. And so that kind of got to me. And I said, you know what? They said, give it 30 days. You'll see results. So I decided to make a commitment for 30 days. And I'm glad I did because that following 2 days later, I went to Nashville with my daughter on vacation. We walked all over Friday, all over Nashville, downtown Nashville, went across the old bridge to the stadium and back. We went to the Hall of Fame. The next day, we went to the Grand Ole Opry. We toured. She wanted to see a boot barn. So we walked all over the Opry Mall there and found the boot barn, found something to eat. I enjoyed the vacation, and I had probably I had mild pain and I didn't have to take no medicine. I still lost weight on that trip. And I didn't do, I did a lot of walking in that those 3 days, but the last day we decided to cut it early and decided to come home, but we decided to take a detour to the Arky counter and went up there to Kentucky. So walked that and I felt really good, got home, and this is when I got home. I decided to told my tech, I said, Joe, these people are telling their stories. I gotta start a YouTube channel. I gotta share my story out there. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to do that. He thought it was a good idea. So I'm like, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And so I finally decided to just take my phone. I bought a cameras, and I'm like, I don't know if I like these cameras. So I decided to I could just use my phone. So I just went out, took my lawn chair, went outside, and I shot my very first video. And not knowing about YouTube and how things go, I'm like, okay, we'll see how this goes. And then so I after I got done, I loaded, and I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. This is not me. I don't like this. I'm not doing it. But then over time, it's just like something just came into my heart and said, you know what? If you have one subscriber, one person follows you, and they think you're a true inspiration, and they follow you because of your life, does that matter? I'm like, yeah. So I decided, okay, let's start making some more videos. I don't know how I'm going to do this. So I just started making different videos. I make some of them was inspirational. Then any downfalls. I think I did a video on cooking, and finally I decided, well, let's just stick with cooking and stick with my journey. So that's where the Broken Carnivore comes in. Oh, we have a question.
Yeah, you do. Did you do high fat?
Yeah, pretty much. I did, beef when I started, beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, and I didn't throw away the fat. I ate all the fat, even the added fat.
Okay. And Jemmet asks, Kelly, I thought that too. Couldn't eat as much as saw on Dr. Berry suggested. I couldn't eat a pound of meat and 4 eggs, so ate half of that. All right. So I'm going to reverse that question over back to you, Jemmet, and say, what can you do now? It was obviously done before. Where are you at now with how much you can eat? But yeah.
Now, like today, I had before I came on, I did probably a pound of ground beef and 7 eggs, but I didn't eat but half of it. But I saved the other half. If I
Right.
get hungry, I'll eat the other later.
Well, I mean, isn't that the best thing about carnivore? I mean, I have to admit, eggs I usually like to eat unless they're hard boiled. I if I have scrambled, I like to finish what I make. So if I make 4 eggs, I like to finish 4 eggs. If I make six, I like to finish the six. But when it comes to the other meat, when it comes to like any other kind of meat, you just if you have to reheat it or eat it cold. I actually made 8 burgers today, but I only ate um like six and a half. So I took the other burgers and put them in a plastic bag, and they're in the refrigerator, and I'll have them tomorrow. I'll just add them to whatever I have, and tomorrow I have reserved to have some chicken, and then for my second meal to have some lamb, a couple lamb shanks. So I'll just add it with that, and I'm happy. And if I have leftover lamb shanks, guess what? I'll do the same thing. You know, um, like when I used to eat French fries and stuff like that, I hated recooked French fries. Like, and I didn't like them to be like re-microwaved. I hated how they
Oh,
taste like
it's
cardboard.
soggy.
Yeah, soggy and gritty in a way. I mean, like to me, carnivore is kind of a no-brainer. I can't understand. I'm kind of like Rick in this particular case. I can't understand why anybody would rather eat vegetables than eat meat. Like I get the brain concept of not wanting to kill an animal. I get the emotional part of that. But still, my body automatically goes to the steak, automatically goes to the chicken, automatically goes to the pork rinds even. You know, I just can't, like peas and corn and yeah, they taste okay and they're sweet and they give you that like little bit of a high, but to have that on a regular basis, to have that be your go-to, I couldn't do it.
Yeah. No, I used to like that go to, but anymore I don't care. And like every now and then, I don't mind having grilled onions or grilled like peppers and stuff like that every now and then. The only time I eat tomatoes is in the summertime, and I didn't grow any this year. I didn't eat hardly any tomatoes this year because I'm like, I'm not going to grow them. Now, next year, with doing the homesteading part, yeah, I'm going to grow some of it, but the one things I will never eat is spinach, leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and stuff like
Mhm.
that, and especially seed oils, because unless it's hidden, I didn't know about it. I'm not going back to that stuff. That stuff, what hurt me in the beginning, especially the spinach and the nuts, the almonds, the pecans. I ate that stuff, and it gave me the severe arthritis. Not on top of with the bad hip, it also put that in there, and so now I do have the sometimes the oxalate dumps, but here lately most of my oxalate dump has been waking up and noticing I had like grit in my eyes, like they're really gritty, and it's like, what in the world is this? And it's like, oh no, that's oxalates.
Yeah. Lisa, Carnival Whisperer says that coffee sounds good, but I've had 4 cups already. Yeah, I don't know what time it is for you there, Lisa, but yeah, that is a lot.
That's too late for me. I'll drink iced tea, but I will not.
Yeah.
Too much coffee. I'm done for the day.
Yeah, usually, when I usually do the tea is like sometimes I'll drink hot tea, but I don't, for some reason, tea I can definitely go without cream. I can definitely go without sugar. I don't have any problem with that. But I usually now I do it is if I feel like I might have oxalates, I might do it to kind of like help with the oxalate dumping. But other than that, I do coffee, mostly because I mentioned it to you guys before about the candy store that's right below my house, my apartment, and I usually do it to give them some business because obviously my cookie, the purchases that I used to make with the treats, um, have gone down immensely. The only time I have anything is, if I do have anything, is maybe when my sugars are really, really low, and that's not that common anymore. I mean, you could probably count on one hand how many times I've done it during carnivore and still have some fingers left over. So Juju asks, I eat once a day. How many meals do you eat and what? Thank you.
I usually eat 1 to 2 meals a day. It depends on how I feel. I like to try to get mostly time once a meal, but most of the time I eat twice. I try to get past 1 o'clock before I have my first meal, and and if I decided to push through, I just have me some mountain sea salt there at the shop, or I just have mountain sea salt here at home if I feel that hunger come on. Sometimes may not be hungry, maybe you need a mineral, so I just grab some mountain sea salt and I'll just eat some of that and then drink some water and I'm good to go. Sometimes.
Yeah, no, I my lately because I've been doing a program with one of the SBG members, for my insulin resistance, basically, not to increase my insulin resistance, but to get rid of it. Um, I actually eat from five in the like usual time is 5 in the morning to 11 in the morning. Today I did get up late. I overslept, which shows me I might have a cold, because I don't usually my body clock usually gets up at 4 o'clock in the morning, and the fact that I got up late tells me my body was telling me to sleep. So I ate today around 9 o'clock, and I actually had my last meal right before, talking to you. So, um, so I am full, believe it or not. So, and Gemma seems to be the winner of all the questions asked. So I don't know if she won the contest or not, but if anybody else has questions, you're not going to scare Kelly away. Okay. I keep on saying Carrie. I don't know why. I think it's just a Womack thing. And you're actually the same name as my niece. I mean, obviously, she spells it differently though, which is kind of a weird story with that. But she spells with an I at the end. And the weird story is, I asked my sister one time. I said, "Why are you spelling with an I?" Well, their last name is McNally, with a Y at the end of McNally, and she thought when my niece gets older and she starts signing her name, she can do Kelly and then use the Y to go and underline the whole name.
There you go.
So I'm like that's pretty deep thinking about someone that's like can't even hold a pencil, let alone write her name. But so do you fast?
I've only if it's intermittent fasting or the 1 meal a day. There's only one other time that I have fasted, and that was because I went through did my I did a colon screening and last December, and probably it was like 36 to 40 hours. And that was the only time I really fasted. Other than that, I have never fasted.
Right.
One of these
Never done an
days I'll
elongated
probably,
fast, so to speak.
yeah.
I mean, it sounds like you do intermittent fasting almost every day, but like you said, you don't start until about 1 o'clock to start your first meal,
Yeah,
right?
usually 1, 2 o'clock is when I want to try to not want to get my first meal in, and then I'd like to try to get my last meal in by 6 o'clock at night, but sometimes it don't happen.
Yeah. But that still sounds like intermittent fasting to me because you're still
Yeah.
not eating. It's funny. I'm gonna put this up on the thing real quick, but we'll get to it in 1 second. Certain things like how we were like kind of like, but in a way, I look at it a different way than everybody else. Like how we were told that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. you know? Well, this is how I look at it. The word breakfast means break your fast.
Yeah.
So to me, it's still the most important meal of the day. We were just sold on a wrong reason. I think your first meal, when you break your fast, like whether it's from after sleeping or you were on a fast for 72 hours or 4 weeks, whatever, I think that first meal is the most important meal. So I do agree that breakfast is the most important meal. I just don't think it has to be necessarily in the morning. I mean, it could be 2 in the
Yeah.
afternoon, you know.
I don't know where that term where we have to,
Well, didn't it come from
breakfast.
I think if I'm not mistaken, I think it was coined from Kellogg's
I
when
think
they were doing the
so
breakfast cereal. Yeah. Um,
because they wanted to say, oh, eat
yeah,
this, and of course Kellogg was actually a Mormon. I learned a little history about Kellogg's, and it started. He was a Mormon, and I'm like, oh, low fat. I
yeah.
mean,
You
this was
mean
like
moron?
in.
Oh, Mormon. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can say that because the guy's dead now. At least I hope he
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
And of
So
course, they didn't. I think they believe Mormons believed a little bit different, and it's like no. To me, it's like when you break your fast, it doesn't matter when you break your fast
right.
if it's when you wake up or if you decide to do it before you go to bed.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously it's important because if I decide to break my fast, I decide to break it at 1 o'clock, but I break it with a crumb cake. Obviously, that's going to affect after the fast. But if I break it with some eggs, there's a big difference between the two. So it depends on, or, like if I have a huge meal after having a super long fast, obviously my stomach's going to react to that. Versus if I have just some bone broth. What I eat on my first meal is the most important thing I have. And so he was right about being the most important meal of the day. He just was wrong on how he executed it and how he directed it. It's just naturally because you're breaking your fast. That's what breakfast means. You're breaking your fast from sleeping all night and stuff. So, I mean, there's other things I think too. I mean, we all have our ways of like these things that are like aha moments, these things that we think about. And thank you for the people that agree with me. I don't get that with my family, so it's always nice to know that people agree with me.
Oh, I got family like that too. I
But
had
you're
to
never
call.
right. It's funny, like, whenever I'm right with my sister, she's like, "You gloat so much when you're right." I go, "Yeah, because I'm not right very often, so I'm taking it in."
Yeah, I have a cousin that I told him, because they noticed I lost weight, and he's like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "I do the carnivore diet. I've been carnivore since July of 20, July." And he's like, "I heard you can't stay on that very long." I'm like, "That's debunked." I was like, "We've been eating like that since almost the beginning of time."
Yep,
I
yep,
may believe maybe very, very minute, and I don't even know. It could be a little bit different for humans, but I believe maybe very, very minute, very beginning time, we probably everything was vegan. Of course, at that time, you can hold a murder rope or you can pet a mountain lion and have no problems then. But
yep, yep.
after the fall, after sin and death entered the world, all things changed, and we became the top of the food chain.
Yeah. Yeah, and another thing I believe in too is like I don't think anybody even realized this, but like right now when we're carnivore, we do an n=1. Most of us, if not all of us, do an n=1 experiment on ourselves. Like just becoming carnivore was an n=1 experiment. And what we don't realize is even subconsciously, we've been doing an n=1 experiment on us all along. When we decided to when we decided to follow, that was an n=1 experiment. Like, this is the experiment I'm going to do. I'm going to do what my doctor says. I'm going to do the recommendations that I'm being given. That was an n=1, because there's always like doubt you have in your mind that kind of goes back and forth. But we choose the experiments we do, and whatever happens, And every decision we make, every choice we make is an equals one experiment, and we don't even realize that we've been doing it all of our lives. And that's another belief that I have, that we've been raised to do an n equals one experiment. Even though like we were able to break away from what was hurting us and do another, and kind of change the path, but we've been doing it all along. That's just something I like to, mention every once in a while. So we got two questions coming up. So Mason asks, how long was it for you to stop having severe pain? I came on when you were saying thanks. So I
I
guess,
I believe it was like 3 to 5 days because after I started carnivore that first day, I probably took ibuprofen, but after that, I didn't take anything, and I even mowed the yard that weekend, and being on a rough yard on a zero turn mower, I got pretty stiff, but other than that, it wasn't quite painful. So I think it was within 3 to 5 days it is subside. Now, I had that mild irritation where the bone on bone, where the hip was rubbing against, each joint was rubbing against and the stiffness. But other than that, that's because I also have a leg discrepancy and I don't know where that come from. So that didn't help. But other than that, it's like I haven't took ibuprofen probably since July of 2024.
okay. Yeah, and I noticed, I heard you saying, I don't know if it was on one of your videos or if it was, well, it probably was on one of your videos, I'm sure. But I think it was, weren't you on with Mitch, like one of his panels one time?
Yeah,
Yeah. I think you were mentioning something about how your walk is a little
off. I think
off,
it was.
yeah,
I
which
don't.
I
It
can
might.
relate to. I mean, obviously,
Yeah. It was either Mitch or it was
Russ.
the Russ. It was either Mitch, Russ, or Carnivore Talk, or it might have been the Pajama Party. I think it was. I think it was either Russ, because I remember Amy was on there that night. I was
Yeah,
talking
I do
about
remember
that.
that too. I do remember that too. Okay, so this is not a question, just a statement, but you can answer it. I mean, that's not a problem. She's just making a comment. Bride's Biscuit. It's always about profit. Seed oil starting it. Kellogg's did this. Ansel Keys did it with fat. 1950s coffee break rooms was to increase productivity. So I didn't really know about coffee break rooms, but you know what? I'm not shocked. I mean, it probably increased the productivity of drinking coffee, and it led to that. I'm definitely not shocked by that.
It's like
Mm,
cotton seed oil was the very first seed oil that was invented, and it was invented right after Civil War. But I don't think it was used for human consumption until Procter and Gamble decided to invent Crisco in the early 1900s,
right. No,
and
you're absolutely right.
they needed to find a source for this because they had abundance of this, and then later on it of course I think I got this one. I learned a lot more from Dr. Nelson about this because canola oil was actually, it's not canola, it's like rapeseed oil. And so canola is actually called Canada oil, and canola oil was originally an engine lubricant, but they
Mhm.
had so much of it. How can we sell it? So they decided to sell it human safe. And of course, this Ansel Keys, he the only reason why all this hypothesis come up because we had a president at that time, was Dwight Eisenhower, had a heart attack,
Yep.
but they didn't bother to say that he smoked 4 packs of cigarettes a day. He had a high stress job, and so when a public figure like him all of a sudden had this heart attack, oh crap, we got to do something.
He was a heavy drinker too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I believe so as
Yeah.
well. And then also that's why Ansel Keys decided to, oh, we'll do this. But Ansel Keys studied way more countries, but then he got what he wanted, a 7 country study, and he just only did these studies because it's like, oh, they did this, oh, they ate this, they ate that, and they didn't bother to say what about the Eskimos up in Canada, in Canada and Alaska, all the North people. How are you going to grow and vegetables and grains up there when you have nothing but ice and snow. And then you got your tropics. Yeah, they had a lot of coconut, they had fish, but they ate healthy. And then if you have the indigenous people throughout the time, they planted some vegetables and stuff, but they also hunted a lot.
Yeah. It's funny. I think the funniest thing I get from Ansel Keys is not really Ansel Keys himself, but of people that even after I tell, like I'll tell people that are not carnivore, and I tell them the story of Ansel Keys, and none of them even like they're still like, oh, well, cholesterol is bad. I'm like, that thought is based on a lie, right? You get the story I just told you on how it's based on a lie. How this guy promoted 7 countries that he looked at, but he actually studied 23 different countries and only reported to 7 countries. That's falsifying your information.
Yeah, and there was another test that he was involved. I can't think. It was something to do with the Minnesota or something. I think I heard this from Dr. Barry that where they did a study on mental patients. They did a meat based diet, high fat, saturated, whole, diet versus a low fat grain, low fat diet they want us on, and I don't know where that study, but they have the results that the people over here did better than the ones on this low fat grain diet. And I know I can't remember, there was a documentary. I can't remember if I saw it on Netflix or if I saw it on Tubi TV or YouTube, but there was some people that volunteered. They ate high fat, keto a high fat, low carb, keto style diet versus the low fat diet that we will recommend. And they said a lot of people, they'll eat and it's like, I'm not hungry. I'm doing great. They had all kinds of energy. So they did that for a week and then they switched over and they did the other diet. A lot of them's like, I'm hungry. Someone says I'm about to crash. And I remember when I ate breakfast, I wasn't big on the sweets. I mean, I ate my fair share of donuts and sweets and stuff like that. But in the mornings, I wasn't a big pancake, syrup, waffle person or a high carb. I always want bacon, eggs, sausage. I had either toast or my favorite carb go to hot food was biscuits and gravy. And of course, even if I ate that, even with the other, I still crashed. I mean, half of my day would be gone if I ate a lot of carbs. And I would go to family dinners. They always talk about when you go to Thanksgiving. Oh, it's something in the turkey. The turkey's what gives you that comatose deal. And actually, this was the first year, or last year was the first year that I did really, really did great. And I'm like wide awake. And normally I'd be clunked out, tired, and be half the day. I waste half of my day, even at a family dinner, because of the carbs. So that right there tells you that the carbs, the sugar, and the carbs is not good for us.
Yeah, no. So I actually interrupted a question I had on the thing, but I'm already clicked to it. So I'm going to put this out there first. So, because we were talking about the Minnesota study, and Paul actually says that Minnesota study was butter versus margarine. So that was
Yeah, I believe that was correct.
right.
I knew it was something. It was something, but still, they decided to still push the that margin and all the fake stuff on us.
Yeah. And I remember, I mean, I kind of like stopped doing margarine way before I even became carnivore. And what kind of got me, I mean, I never really trusted it, but at one time it was like about budget, like I could go to, like at one time I went to the dollar store to get most of my food. So the dollar store for $1, you can either get a full pack of margarine or you can get like one stick of butter. Obviously, I'm going to get the full pack. But until I talked to my a boss I used to do security at one of the malls in Princeton, and we were talking about margarine, but and he goes, "Yeah, well, you do know that margarine's like one chemical away from being plastic." And my mind goes all over the place. I don't know why, but I start thinking of things like, well, what if, and the what if I actually thought about it, and everybody's going to laugh at me, and that's fine because I'm used to it at this point. What if the chemical that makes it into plastic is a chemical from that's in already in our bodies? What if it's something that's in our bodies that when it reacts to the margarine, it becomes plastic inside us? Now I know that's probably not true, but you still have this thought in your head. And so like I'm thinking to myself like, oh my God, that's not good, so I stopped eating margarine right then and there. I'm like, the hell with that. I'll just either go without or I'll just spend the extra and get the butt, and get that one stick of butter and just make the butter last, like maybe a thinner thing. But like it just I don't know. I just find some of these things like so. So John asks, and you don't have to answer this because I know it's private. I'm just joking. What is your current weight, and are you diabetic or reversed insulin resistance? At least
Well,
John
when
didn't ask me
I
your age.
well, one good thing is I'm younger than you.
Me, yeah, you
but
are.
the I actually when I started carnivore, I was almost 300. I was like 338. I recorded. I hadn't done a diary. I used to daily record when I weighed, what I did, my blood pressure, and everything I ate. And I started out 338, and I lost probably about 70 pounds. Right now, I'm floating between 270 to 280. I'm
Mhm.
going back and forth. I think part of it is I'm going to try to. I may do a reset here soon to see if I can chuck this weight. But I know part of why I hadn't lost weight since probably March of this year is because my body is constantly healing from me wearing this hip or making it worse by being a I'm just gonna say I'm a weeble wobber and it with this lift I have it helps me walk better, but a lot of times that's what it's doing because I go to bed the next day I'm like stiff, I get fine. And so a lot of it's healing, but part of it is wintertime. And I think my body is used to this. And so I'm going to do a reset, reset, and go again and try something different, little different, still on the carnivore, but try, maybe just do eggs. I'm not doing sardines. I tried sardines and I'm like, I can't do it. I stomach them down and some reason when I burped, it does not come up right. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't do this. I'm done with the sardines. So
Yeah, I mean, I
I
can
may
do
do,
sardines, but to do 3 or 4 cans a day, I cannot do that. One can is pretty much my go-to, my limit.
yeah, I'm done with the sardines. I tried them. It's like what Dr. Berry says when he said liver, eat your damn liver. And I'm like, I tried them. I'm done. I didn't like it would come up. I'm done.
Yeah.
So I may do something called the shift. I may just like discipline myself, go to OMID and stay with OMID and not I think I saw a video with Dr. Tony Hampton where if I cook my steak, will put the drippings on it, but I won't add extra fat. Or I may just do 1 or 2 days. I may just eat eggs. That's all I may eat like a dozen eggs a day or six to dozen eggs. Something just to get the body say, oh crap, something's different, and shift and get the metabolism spit up back up again. Other than that, I'm at a 40 waist. I do have 38s, but being I'd stayed at 40s. I'm comfortable because that's what I work in is 40s. And coming on winter, I will need that extra room inside for the long johns and stuff.
And
So
how tall are you?
I'm about 6'3".
So that's actually not bad. That's pretty.
And I don't think I have very much more weight to go. They say according to the numbers with the BMI, I should be between 173 and 200, and I think it's based on how your structure is because I may not have the same structure as Papa Carnivore has. We're both the same height. He's about 6'3". He weighs probably 199 to 200, and he's a 34 waist. For me, I have a broader, I may be broad, have a broader structure, and I may need a little more weight to carry than someone like Peter does.
Right.
And so, this is probably the weight. I haven't been this weight since probably before I graduated high school. I always was between 290 to 400. I bounced back and forth. And
Right.
this is the first time that I lost weight and I actually kept it down.
Yeah.
And so the other part of that question, I was never a diabetic, never was diagnosed. I never had insulin issues. I'm sure I had insulin issues. I had fatty liver and stuff like that,
Yeah.
but never had high blood sugar. I know my mom is pre-diabetic. I know that I have aunts that are diabetic. My brother's full-blown diabetic. But he also did drugs, and of course he eats a lot of sugars and sweets and stuff like that. So he had a massive heart attack. But Dad, when he was alive, he was never a diabetic. But he had open heart surgery in 1983, a little younger than what I am today. My brother had a massive heart attack. That's because of drugs. For me, I'm like, I feel great. My doctor, my primary care physician, I don't think talks too much. He knows the cholesterol number is, according to the expert numbers, is high, but he never really pushes the statin because I won't do the statin. I said, I feel great. I have more mental clarity. I think he kind of knows a little bit because he doesn't do all, the high carbs and stuff. I think he does, like a keto base. So he kind of knows.
Right. There's like a
But
certain awareness to there. Yeah.
yeah, and he's not too concerned because I'm like, I'm not worried about it. I said I'm more concerned about having metabolic health or the obesity and versus having the type 2 diabetes than cholesterol, because I'm like, I feel better today than I did in my 20s. And then, of course, I do see a heart doctor because, I don't know. The only reason I see him is because it's the same doctor my dad had. He's a really good doctor. And my dad had AFib. And, of course, he took the medicine. He also took statins. He also he did a lot. He ate oatmeal every day. I don't know how you can do that. I couldn't eat that stuff. I try it every now and then. I'm like, ugh, I can't do
Yeah.
this. I don't know
It's
how. I don't know
definitely,
how people do this.
it's like
And
you're eating paste, basically. It's
yeah, he ate it. He heated it in the microwave every day. He did the minute quick oats, and I'm like, I don't know how you can eat this stuff. Oh, it's good for you. It's a cholesterol buster. Yeah, it is all right, but no. But he also he took naproxen or Aleve twice, and he had an ulcer. He knew he had something wrong, so he had to be off of it. But then July of 2019, he had a massive stroke, and that was he was about ready to see his doctor to put him on some kind of blood thinners. But he ended up having a 98% blood clot, and it affected his brain where it just shut down.
sorry.
It was either let him go peacefully or he would be at a home today on a breathing machine. My mom said, she said, I know what I make my decision. We said, what is yours? Said, you do what you think is what he wants to do. He's not going to want to sit there. I said, that's not dad. That's just someone, that's just the body. He's not there anymore. And watching him just suffer, watching him be on a breathing machine, I'd rather for him to go peacefully. And so that's why I've decided to see that, because I didn't know, at that time, is AFib hereditary, which, I had one time. I know I had sleep apnea, which it's related to it. I know I don't have it anymore because I can go to sleep within 5 minutes. I'm out. The next thing I know, the alarm's going off and it's time to get up. And so I sleep pretty good. Maybe very rarely I get up in the middle of the night, use the restroom, and I go right back to sleep. So I know I'm getting my rest. I have more mental clarity. I don't have that brain fog anymore. So I'm good. But where the heart place I go to, which is called the Missouri Heart Center, they said this, 150 for total cholesterol, but for LDL, but really, for the Missouri Heart Center, they said about 77. This even one even cut even more. I'm like, good grief, they must be making some money here. If the doctor and the nurse says, okay, this is the acceptable range, but yet the Missouri Heart Center says, oh, we want it here. Somebody's making some money off the pharmaceuticals.
Okay, so I'm showing in the chats right now. Ricky Lee mentioned a thing from breaking news. I don't know if you saw it or not. This is the first time I'm finding out about this, but doesn't shock me any. Okay. Campbell Soup's VP and Chief Information Security Officer Martin Bally was secretly recorded saying the company uses bioengineered meats.
Ooh,
Um, I mean, obviously, if it's secretly reported, that probably it's hearsay, basically. If I'm not mistaken, I don't remember exactly, but I don't think that's but that's still pretty intense, and I don't find
yeah.
any distruth to that. Um, I mean, they do whatever it takes to.
Making money is what they're doing.
It's
If
all about
that's
the buck.
okay.
It's all about the profit. And yeah, I mean, it's funny, like, we're talking about statins, briefly, and I've been forced, like told I need to have a statin, I need to have a statin, and they're just doing it because my cholesterol is like 117, which if we look in carnivore world, 117 cholesterol is like a drop in the bucket. It's not high at
Yeah,
all, but yet they felt it was high enough to give me a statin, you know, and it's all about making that extra money. It's all about like getting those statins produced, and I'm sure the doctor gets a kickback from it or whatever. And it's just a sad, sad world we live in when it comes to that. But and people do fall for it. People are like, "Oh yeah, well, the doctor says I need it, so I need a statin." If the doctor told you to jump off the Brooklyn Bridge, would you jump off because the doctor told you to jump off it? You
absolutely
know,
not. You ain't gonna get me to jump off no Brooklyn Bridge
right?
unless I need to jump off for my life to keep from dying. I'm gonna jump off then. But other than that, I'm not gonna jump off the Brooklyn Bridge because
No,
my doctor says,
but
"Oh,
yet we listen to our doc. We in the past, and we're not as diligent as in that respect as we were before. But it's like almost like something clicked in our heads and said, you know what? They've been wrong all this time. Why are we following with their advice and stuff like that? And we don't disrespect them. We still respect them, at least most of them, for the most part. And we still like them. Like I have my doctors, and I don't totally agree with their philosophy, but that doesn't mean I have to listen to their philosophy. And doesn't mean I have to basically be like, okay, well, I don't like you anymore or anything like that. If you can come with a middle ground, that's great. But we just, it's kind of funny though. Like I have a few people that are like, well, my doctor told me I need more medication. Well, has the medication you've been taking, has it been helping? Well, no, because I need more of it. And the thing is, okay, that philosophy, that way of thinking, okay, does anybody know the definition of insanity? You know, um, Now, I mean, I'm figuring you do know, but the definition of insanity is to do the same thing or follow the same person or the same beliefs over and over again and expect different results. If you're getting more medication every single time that you don't feel like you're being helped and you're expecting to get better because of that, that's insanity.
yeah." I'm like, because the only thing the medicine's doing is you're just treating the symptom. You're not curing it. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's very easy. It's pretty much goes back to nutrition. If you're eating this poor, terrible diet and then you're got high blood pressure or you're smoking cigarettes and you have high blood pressure because of the nicotine or chewing. The problem is like you got to change. It's like, and sometimes you can't just rely on the doctor or some miracle drug. A lot of times it's just a little bit of work and changing, but a lot of people don't want to change. They want this fast way out. Like, oh, I just want to have weight loss surgery. Well, that's good, but just like Dr. Nalzardan on that My 106-Pound Life, he says it's just a tool. You have to change your mind. You have to change. You have to, go to this diet, because he has a certain diet that he puts you on because your stomach is going to shrink, and he wants to make sure. But it's a mindset, and he said that it's just a tool. A lot of people say, oh, I just have the weight loss surgery, I'm fine. No, you're gonna, the stomach can stretch out back out to its normal size, and a lot of times people don't realize when they have this weight loss surgery that does happen over time. Your stomach does stretch back out, but you eat, if you have that mindset, I'm just going to eat a certain amount, or I'm going to change the way I eat, and I'm going to eat a better diet than this what I am now, then you're going to stay thin the rest of your life. But I've seen where people that had the weight loss surgery ends up gaining the weight back because they didn't change their mindset. And that's the thing. You have to change your mindset and say, I do not want to have type 2 diabetes anymore. I can reverse this. I don't want to be obese anymore. I want to lose weight. I can reverse this. I can heal my heart, my damaged heart, by just nutrition. And it's the oldest medicine out there is nutrition.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. So I'm trying to navigate the chats and everything like that. So if it looks like I'm like kind of like not paying attention, it's not that. It's just it's hard to kind of like keep up with the chats and all that stuff. You get a little lost, you know. Bride's biscuit, like not really a not really a question, but she goes, but we were talking about sardines before. I stopped sardines and switched to wild caught salmon in water by Bumblebee. $1.66 a pouch gets the omegas better from my low beef consumption. Okay, I get that.
I eat that every now and then, wild caught salmon.
Yeah. And did you see the video that Bella just put out about JFK's the four
Yeah, I saw
the
that today.
yeah.
I had
Um,
to I had to change out some breezeway light bulbs. I'm like, I gotta sit down. I gotta sit down because yesterday I decided to clean my living room, and of course barefooted, not having my shoes on. It got a little too stiff, and if before carnivore, I wouldn't have been able to done it. It took me all day just to do the living room, but I had it done within an hour. But I sit down and I decided, oh, I'm going to watch. I'll see what's going on in the old YouTuber, and I saw that he was going to ban processed cheese, American cheese.
right. Which that does
Um,
not shock me any. It really doesn't.
and
Nor the low
then
fat milk. None of actually what he picked shocked me, really.
yeah,
Um, you know. Um, because I mean, we don't really go for low fat milk in our lives. It's like the whole idea is to have more fat. So why would we
yeah.
advocate for low fat milk?
And that'd be awesome if we could reverse the selling of the raw milk, because like here in Missouri, which is most of the United States, it's illegal unless you go to the pet store, or you go to actually straight to
Yeah,
the farm, or where I live, I can go to the Amish and I can get raw milk
yeah.
straight from the
It's just
Amish.
so ironic, isn't it? It's so
Yeah,
weird. It's like yeah, can I get some raw milk? Well, no, because humans can't have that. Oh, well, it's for my dog. Oh, okay. Here's 5 gallons of it. You could have it. That's no problem. I mean, not that anybody buys 5 gallons of milk, but I'm just. I mean, if you do, more power to you. Um, so I'm looking at. I get a lot of things about people telling me I'm right, but I already knew that. Ricky Lee asked if I could repeat, I guess, what I had just said about about the definition of insanity. So I don't know if Ricky's actually making fun of me or just wants to hear it again. But so either way, okay, whatever. I'm not insane, Ricky. um, so let me see. So do you? Oh, Rick is here. The Rick, Charger Mopar, is here.
Quack, quack, quack. There we
And
go.
yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. I'm sorry, Rick. I almost forgot. Everybody always shows something of with Rick. So here's my thing:
Oh, there he is, the iguana and the
the
ducks.
iguana, the duck riding the iguana. So Rick, you try hunting this iguana because he's big enough to hold. If he's big enough to have a duck ride him, he's got to be pretty huge. That's at least that's what Rick said to me one time. He was like, "That's a pretty huge iguana. They're not usually big enough to have somebody ride them." so, so I hope you had a good time today.
I had a great time.
I mean, we still have time. I think
Hey,
people don't really, they don't really know what to expect when they come on because most interviews are just like kind of structured, and mine's not really structured. I mean, the hell with that, you know.
well, I can talk about my new channel and why I
Yes,
wanted to
please,
go with it.
please. And what made you go to another? What made you do that?
Well, I didn't decide which way I want to go. I always had the passion for being a farmer. Growing up, we had horses. My dad had horses. I grew up around horses. We had some property that my mom and dad sold was adjacent to the property we live at now. We had cattle. My mom grew up on a farm on the other side of town. On the family farm. And so when I went to my grandparents over the summer, I always enjoyed it. I always enjoyed farming, even though I may have had to do a little work too, maybe shovel some corn in the corn crib and stuff like that. I kind of enjoyed it a little bit. And I always had that passion to be a farmer. But of course, over time, life has to come in, job, career, family, and I think we did. I think at one time we did have some goats and some chickens, but then of course unexpected events happen and things changed. And so now after being on carnivore for a year and feeling great, I said, you know what? I'm ready to start this chapter of becoming a homesteader. And but I don't want to do milking. I don't want to milk goats. I don't want to be tied down with some things. If I want to go to a meetup or if I want to go on vacation or I want to go somewhere, plus I have a career or a job, I also need it. I want something where I'm not tied down and be burned out. So I said, well, you know what? I want to do haired sheep. And because haired sheep, you do not have to worry about sharing them. Raise some goats and stuff like that and have my own chickens. Chickens are pretty easy to raise. Get your own eggs. And then my daughter kind of like to have some rabbits. So I might have some rabbits. And so I decided, you know what? I hadn't decided. We have a lot of people here does cooking. We have people shares their story. There's a lot of carnivore channels, and I said, you know what? I thought about revamping Broken Carnivore, but then going through some of the other YouTube, the creator inspire, creator content that says sometimes it's best to start. I said, you know what? I want to keep my other channel. Let's start a new channel. And so I started out calling it Carnivore Homesteader, but I say, you know what, this could be a little deceiving if I'm, because I'm the one that's carnivore on the carnivore diet. But if someone decided, well, you're planting plants, you're doing raised beds and stuff like that, why are you, you shouldn't be doing that. It's carnivore. So I decided to change my name since I'm from Missouri and our nickname is the Show Me State. So I said I just changed it to the Show Me Homesteader. And so I'm like, you know what? A lot of people wants to do this, but they're like me, struggling, don't have the money. I have the land, I have the buildings. I'm very fortunate. So why don't I just start this on a budget? and since the wintertime's coming on, I can do some planning, some cleaning, stuff like that. So I got videos that I can do, cleaning out the barn, videos on the inside. And so I thought about even even interpreting the broken carnivore with the homesteader channel, do some cooking. I want to make my own soap. I want to learn how to make my own, soap because tallow. I make my own deodorant. I make my own lip balm from tallow and it's really cheap. So that's going to be my next upcoming video. Is I'm going to make that video on making deodorant. So stuff like that I can actually do on both channels. And so, like, if I do something with cooking, because I have an idea. It was a video. I follow him. I've been following him for like 6 years. He's from Oklahoma, New Mexico. His name's Kent Rollins. He's a cowboy chef, and he has a channel called Kent Rollins, and he does cooking with a lot of cast iron. I learned how to take care of cast iron from his channel, but he had one that's called Upside Down Pizza, and I'm thinking, one case I can take that recipe, take the because the only thing that's carbs was the crescent roll crust that he put on there, and do Bella steak and butter gals bread recipe and put it on top, and I'm like, bam, carnivore upside down pizza in my because I got a cast iron kettle. I said I might do something like that, and
Right.
then like the soap. I want to learn how to make my own soap, and I'm going to do the video since it's starting going to get cold and I can't do much outside this coming weekend after Thanksgiving. I decided, well, let's just do that video on making that deodorant, and it's really simple to make. And I kind of tweaked it from the original recipe, and I think I got all my ingredients from Amazon, but it's really cheap to make, and it's like even though the towel's like a 1 pound or like a bucket about this big, it was like $50. I only used 2 tablespoons of the beef tallow, 2 tablespoons of coconut oil in the deodorant. I'm like, that's really cheap. And because I always want to, like, you know what, if I'm going to take care of what's on the inside of my body, I need to be careful what I want to put on the outside. And it's like a lot of that deodorant, like Amy mentioned last night in her live stream, a lot of that stuff is expensive.
Oh,
And I'm
it
like,
is.
why can't I make it myself? And
Right.
that's what I do. I kept my old deodorant thing container, and I make it, put it in there, and it's like 15, 20 minutes and it's done. Really easy to make. And then I make my own lip balm, and that's really easy to make. It's from tallow.
Yeah. Yeah, Rick Charger Mopar says that he's been making his own soap for years. So yeah, I know you've been very resourceful, Rick. Um, so a lot of them are talking about the pizza crust. One thing I haven't done yet are done things like making chaffles and stuff like that. I think there's two reasons why I haven't made chaffles. One, I don't have a um, a waffle iron. So I make the joke that I could just make chan cakes, instead of chaffles, I make chan cakes. Because really, it's the same thing, right? It's just one,
Yeah,
the grit in there, the grooves, But I think another reason too is because I know chaffles is made with cheese, and when I think of waffles, cheese was never a part of it, Because I think of syrup, I mean that's how I liked my waffles, like with butter and syrup, and syrup's not really carnivore. So even if
no,
I make this chaffles, it's still not going to be carnivore because I would feel I would need syrup in it. But being with cheese, that just. But I mean, I wouldn't mind making like bread with the same ingredients. That like a cheesy bread, I would go with that. But
it's really good. Now
chaffles itself just doesn't sound. Like make it like a sandwich, like somebody suggested making for burger buns or something like that. That I could probably wrap my head around.
I made of course I really like the Bellas because you put it in the air fryer, but I have done Courtney Luna's. I did the dairy free version. I also did the dairy version, but I did the dairy free version with the butter instead of the tallow. And what I did is I just mainly made them. I have a hamburger bun mold, and I just did that, and it worked great for hamburger buns or bread and stuff like that. Or I made the chaffles with the cheese and stuff for as a sandwich, and then I got the recipe before I was carnivore, and they're called carnivore pancakes, but they're actually Serious Keto's one I got the recipe from, and they're really good. And I one time I made McGriddles from them,
Right.
because you hit the maple flavor in there, and the extract. I just put a little bit of that in the vanilla, and it just tastes like pancake, like you're having syrup. So
Yeah.
I don't miss the syrup anymore.
No. Yeah, Ricky, RR, retired Rick, he suggests sugar-free syrup. Uh, I I get what you're saying, Rick. I don't really like sugar-free stuff. I think that they might be more problematic than actually getting the sugar stuff because of all the chemicals that they use in order to make you the sweetness and everything like that. Was it something I did before, like in between what I'm doing now and what I did in the beginning? Yes. But and to tell you the truth, sugar-free syrup, and no offense to you, Rick, I'm not trying to make you upset or anything like that, but I don't really I did have it because I thought maybe that was my go-to, but I really don't like the taste of sugar-free syrup. I think it has like
Never.
there's like a potency to it that I just, you know, um,
I never did like it. I always liked the maple syrup. I never did like regular pancake syrup because it was just so bad,
yeah,
so sweet.
it's like a
Uh,
it's like an aftertaste that you get from it. I think
and then
is
like the sugar free kind of had a wang to it. That's just like the sugar free jellies at the store. It's like, this ain't jelly. This got dyes in it. It's like, for me, for sugar free, and it's not really sugar free because you have the fructose. Once you do no added sugar on the fruit, just had make the jelly out of the fruit, and you're good. You're good. But I'm like, I'm not a big fan of that either. Is the But I know I had like the Lanco syrup, the monk fruit syrup. It was okay, but it's still not the same. It's not the same as maple syrup.
yeah. Um, I mean, I really, I mean, that's probably why I don't really do. I mean, like I said, the chan cakes or the truffles. I mean, they're done. There's cheese that you put into it, and that kind of is weird to me. 'Cause I never associated cheese with waffles. I'm sorry, even the chicken and waffles, I never associated cheese with it. So it's sort of weird to me, but there's other things you can do with it. It's not just the chaffles. It's just I think we just get fascinated because of the waffle iron. I'm sure whoever thought about it was like, hey, I have a waffle iron in storage. Could I use this and make this and let's make chaffles? I'm sure it was like something like that. I'm sure they weren't thinking to themselves like, oh, cheese and waffles. That's always so common to have, So retired Rick, he just said he usually puts butter in place of syrup. I'd rather take a whole stick of butter if I was going to make this, and like I said, I probably wouldn't do it with the cheese, but I probably would take probably the go-to I would have is really fresh butter to go with it, But I mean, what other recipes can you do? Like say you make chaffles, right? And you do exactly the way it's been recommended other than waffles, other than chan cakes, what other ideas? I mean, somebody said you could use them as burger buns, or you could do. I mean, I guess if you have like a really good hot dog, if it's a clean hot dog, I guess you could make a hot dog with the bun. It'd be like almost like having a cheesy hot dog. That's actually a good idea. So I thought of two without even realizing I'm thinking of it. Um, have you ever like done any thoughts or any process of like, hey, you know what? I'm not going to use it as waffles, but I could do this with it.
I have done before. I made sandwiches with the chaffles, where our burger buns and stuff like that, and it turned out pretty good. But most of I hadn't since I was carnivore. I have not made the carnivore version of the chaffles. Of
Hmm.
course, really, what it is, I do have a simple chaffle recipe where I can exchange the almond flour for the pork panko. So I've done that. I can't remember. I've done a recipe before. Oh, I know what it was. It was the meatloaf. And you normally when they make meatloaf, and the idea why I got the idea with this meatloaf is because I saw Bill Knott from Bill and Daisy in Alaska.
Right.
He did that in the slow cooker, and I'm like, oh, that's a good idea. I'll just put those burger pucks in the slow cooker, and I'm like, wow, this is like having meatloaf. So I and said, why can't we replace the cracker crumbs or the oats or whatever they put the carbs and replace it with the pork panko? And worked out great.
Right. So, so Rick is asking, it's technically it's a question. What is McGriddles? I'm sorry.
It's it is a it is a egg, sausage, bacon, cheese on a syrupy duck food bread.
That's
It's
probably
supposed
the
to resemble pancakes.
that's probably the best way to describe it. Definitely. Definitely.
It'll give you a heart if you eat too many of them. It'll give you the heart attack that you don't want.
Um, I'm not sure what Paul meant by I do not chase card substitutions. I don't know what that means, but okay.
Carb. I see
Oh,
down below it said
carb. It was a
carb.
misprint. Okay. I'm
Yeah.
like, what card are you talking about? I don't chase after card like a credit card, a playing card. Like what are you talking about there, Paul?
Yep, Rick. It is duck food. That's
Yes.
exactly what
It,
it
it's
is.
actually duck food of It's-
Even the cheese is probably duck food because it's not real cheese.
Yeah, no, unless you actually shave it yourself, and even then you have to like look at the ingredients. I mean, unless you're doing with like raw cheese or something like that, and you're literally shaving, because I think there's something about shaved cheese that Emma actually was talking about one time that has more like chemical ingredients in order to keep it still like loose and stuff like that. Like, it's actually better to do the block than it is to actually buy
Yeah,
shredded cheese.
yeah. I used to get the bag cheese, but anymore I just shave it myself. If shred it myself if I need to. If it's just on a pinch, I say, like I'm gonna for Thanksgiving, I'm gonna make buffalo chicken dip, and I'm just gonna do it quickly. I'll just get bag cheese for that.
Yeah.
So occasionally I'll do that, but normally at home, no, I shred it myself. Yeah, I wasn't even aware that the sliced hard cheese has the fillers in it to keep it from sticking. So yeah, that's something I'll think about next time.
Yeah. Um, McQuack, okay. Sorry, something I just read with. I'm sure you see it too.
Yeah, I was like,
Um,
spot on, Rick, spot on.
um, yeah, I heard, somebody said in the chat said I'm a genius, so that person's really smart. Just joking, I'm not a genius by any means. Uh, Danny from Boston, she used to, yeah, Boston. Danny Boston, but she's changed her name. But I recognize you, Danny. So either way, she says bake them in muffin tins. So I guess you can make like muffins out of it. That actually would be okay. I cheesy muffins. I probably could do that. And I probably would add butter to that. And I don't think I would have a need to put syrup on it. So that would be a win-win. Um, one of the things I'm doing, I'm probably not celebrating Thanksgiving. Unfortunately, my sister's mother-in-law is very, very sick, and she's so if you can pray for anybody, pray for her because she has been in and out of the hospital from what I'm hearing, like way before I even took care of Cosmo and everything. And so they're probably not going to. She's nothing's happened to her yet, or at all. I mean, she's like about 85 now, I think, so she is up in the years, but so we're not really celebrating Thanksgiving this year for the most part. I mean, my sister is known for last minute, so she could call me like 1 hour before Thanksgiving and be like, "Oh yeah, we're having it. Can you come here?" So
Yeah, we're just gonna go. I have a cousin which they take care of the family farm, which they'll have the family farm. Their farm is right adjacent to it, so they'll have Thanksgiving there. So my youngest daughter, and my mom will all go together there. But Christmas, it'll be very simple because the day after Christmas, hoping it does not snow after Christmas because we're traveling to old Mexico, to Acuna, Mexico on a mission trip, and I don't want to be driving no 15 passenger van through snow.
Yeah. Yeah. So I am going to cook. I didn't get a I didn't get a turkey. Two reasons. I was able. They had the prepackaged turkeys that you get, like that's already pre-done, it's pre-cooked, and everything like that. But it has all these like extra ingredients, if you know what I mean, in it. To whatever to season it, so to speak. And then the actual normal turkey was like 20 pounds. I'm one guy. Do I look like I can eat 20 pounds of turkey? Even if and I like turkey, but it's like, okay, I'll have turkey for Thanksgiving. I really don't want to have like that many days worth of turkey. You know. So I just got myself a chicken, and I just did that, got myself a whole chicken. And I actually have, I don't know if this will work or not. And Rick, you could tell me if it does. Lewis actually suggested that I actually use ChatGPT to make sure I do it correctly. I have some inkling on what to do, like I'm not like totally inept on what to do, but I actually have a great big pot. It's actually a big, huge lobster pot that I could put lobster in if I wanted to. And I'm just going to take and put some lard in it. I have a big bucket of lard, put some lard in it, and I'm just going to cook the chicken and deep fry it in the lard in the lobster pot, and just make heart attack chicken for the first time. I haven't had it. I figure, what great way to celebrate Thanksgiving to try something that Rick would actually make. I don't know if
Yeah,
that's going to work. I hope it does, but
yeah, I wanted to do the chuck roast, take the chuck roast and do chuck roast buffalo dip instead of the chicken. But with the beef prices are high, I'm like,
yeah,
no, I'm not gonna. I need like two or three of those chuck roasts to do it. I'm like, no, I'll just do it with the chicken because I'll just put it in the slow cooker, get chicken breast. I'll put it in the slow cooker. I may get some boneless chicken thighs as well. Just put a blend of that and the chicken breast in there and kind of have it, put a little bit of water and do that overnight and then shred that up and make the dip. And then I was going to, for myself, I want to make me a little bit of like an egg type of a custard, or you like a cheesecake type carnivore cheesecake or custard. And then I'm gonna make the Bella steak and butter. Just do those rolls. I need to order me some heavy whipping cream powder because I'm about to run out. I was gonna make some of that. Just kind of have that, and then they have ham and turkey, which I'm not a big turkey fan, but I'll eat a little bit of that and have some ham. And other than that, that's about what I'm going to have for my meal with some
yeah.
pork rinds
I
to
mean,
dip.
I like turkey, but I'm a lot more traditional, I guess you could say. Like I don't really. I mean, it's not that I've never had a turkey sandwich or anything like that, but like to me, the turkey is more for Thanksgiving. That's what it was. That's what it was designed for. And so like I can't like eat turkey all the time. I just eat enough for the dinner. I might have for Christmas, because Christmas you never know. But I mean, my favorite Christmas dish is prime rib, because that's how my channel name. Um, that was the meal I had, my last celebratory meal I had at Christmas dinner before I became carnivore, before I fully got my channel and everything. So it's sort of the part of the prime rib thought part of it. Or yeah. Um, but I think I'll do okay. And I do have. I'm not just having the chicken. I'm having other things too. And one of the things I'm making, and somebody I actually made it the other day, and I kind of do need to do a little tweaking, but I made what I call carnivore eggnog, because growing up, eggnog was always the thing I would always have, and without the rum. And Obviously rum was always told that it's the best part of it, but I'm like, well, it's called eggnog, so I don't know if rum is really the main part of eggnog. It might be the best part. So
Yeah.
it's not the main thing. And so I just use heavy cream and eggs and egg yolks. And somebody pointed out to me that if I actually like kept on whipping it and then put it in the freezer, I would be making ice cream. You know,
Built
so
his ice cream.
yeah. So the only thing, like, I don't have allulose. I kind of don't like, people have suggested allulose to me, but I don't know. I think allulose is sort of like, I don't know, temptation I don't want to have, because if it tastes like sugar in any way, I don't want to have that. You know, because then I might get like addicted to the allulose, and I don't know if that's any good either. So, and it's probably not cheap, so I don't know if I'd want to spend money on it. So I did.
Yeah, it is. What I get is it's the Lanco monk fruit allulose. I used to get the erythritol, but I get the monk fruit allulose, and that's the bag I get is $15. And so I'm very careful because I know I don't have the issue anymore, but I know back in my early days when I was going off the standard diet and the sweets and stuff like that, I would eat a lot of it. But now I may have some of it in my coffee, or I might decided to do take regular pork rinds, put it some cinnamon, I put sprinkle that on there, and I'd have some heavy whipping cream and make like a cereal. Other than that, and I didn't even have that in a long time because I'm like, I'm gonna kind of slow down on my cream. I'll still have my cream. I have a splash of cream every morning in my 2 cups of coffee I have. But other than that, I slowed down on a lot of that because it's like I don't want to, one, the cost, it costs $15. So if you use quite a bit of it, you can go through $15, like $16 in a week or less if you're use it heavy. So I like to try to let it go at least a month's supply before I go get another one.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I mean, like, I'm not dogmatic about my diet and everything like that. I've actually had, I do incorporate pickles every once in a while. I usually try to get like really good deli pickles, though. I don't like just do a jar of pickles. It has to be like really. And I actually did get a small thing that I can use, and it will last for a long time. I mean, there's probably a date on it, but I don't think it's anything. But I actually got a thing of cinnamon. Um, and I'm just going to, with the egg, I'm going to make some eggnog for Christmas because it's tradition, well, not for Christmas, for Thanksgiving. I've had it every year except for the last 5 years. So, um, and the only reason I had it the other day was because I was testing it out, seeing what I could do. And I think it would be fine with some cinnamon, because that to me, the cinnamon should make it taste a little bit more authentic, because when I think of eggnog, I do think of either nutmeg or cinnamon.
Yeah,
And
I put cinnamon in my coffee now and then. Sometimes I'll make the
I'll probably do that
bougie.
now that I have it. Now that I bought it, I'll probably do that myself.
I,
But
I every now and then I'll get the magic bullet out. And I'll get butter and some heavy whipping cream, and then I'll put coffee in it. I'll put a little bit of the allulose, and then after that I'll put 2 egg yolks in it after I blend that up, and I have my fatty bougie coffee, and it's delicious.
yeah, and then what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to try to attempt. I forget who it was that said about being ice cream. It's probably one of my riblets that I just still remember. I do remember it was a female, so any one of you female riblets can take credit. Um, but I'm going to actually make a little extra and whip that until it becomes. I mean, I use a hand blender, so I'm sure if I used a hand blender and kept on doing it, I'm sure eventually it will get more whipped. And do that, and then put it in the freezer. And then for later on, I'll have some carnivore ice cream to celebrate Thanksgiving.
There you go.
And I think that would be really good with the cinnamon too. You know, or make like almost like to me, if it had vanilla extract, it'd be even better. But like almost like a snickerdoodle. If anybody knows what a snickerdoodle is,
Snickerdoodle is one of my favorite cookies that I used to eat, besides chocolate chip.
yeah. And I just like the word snickerdoodle. Like, what are you having? I'm having a snickerdoodle. Like, hello.
I like this comment here. It reminded me because Ricky Lee says, I remember drinking almond milk and wondering how many almonds to had to be squeezed to make a half gallon. And I remember, I don't know if everybody remember when The Ranch came out off of Netflix with Sam Elliott and Ashton Kutcher, and they were in the kitchen. It was the episode is where they were saving. They needed to save money because things was tight on the ranch, and he pulls out and he says, what the F is this? Milk? And I guess he goes on and he's like, show me the almond off of, show me the tit on the almond.
Yeah, Mason actually suggests freeze some and add vanilla flavoring. So yummy. Um, this is what I'm probably going to be doing, Mason. Okay, I don't have. I've pretty much exhausted my funds for food, so until I get paid again, I'm not getting any vanilla extract. But especially not before Thanksgiving. But for this, I will do it the way I'll do it just with the cinnamon and the cream, just like I'm doing. But I will get some vanilla extract, and if it's easy for me to do and it's not as much of a headache, then I will do it again, definitely. And the second time around, I'm going to do it with vanilla extract because that's something I definitely want to try. Um,
Yeah, I got plenty of that because I have. I get when I went to my first or second mission trip, I bought some Mexican vanilla, which it's pretty much vanilla extract, but it was in a bottle and it was like $10 for a big container of it. And I have like 2 or 3 containers of it, so I'm like, I have plenty of vanilla for a while. Now I don't know if it'll eventually go bad. If not, if it does, then I'll just throw it away and I'll get some new because it was cheap. Because it's like probably it was about that size for $10 versus just a little vanilla extract.
and I'm going to showcase Lizzie for a second. So, Lizzie, stand up and bow because I'm going to show you a couple times. No questions though. There's not any questions. I don't know if people just ran out of questions or whatnot. Um, but Lizzie says, yeah, that happens some days. You can eat 5 pounds of meat. Obviously, we're changing the subject a little bit, I guess. 5 pounds of meat, and some days you're wondering if you're sick because you're not getting hungry. I think your body just does what it does. Yesterday, I mentioned this big, huge meal that I had. I would just my appetite opened up. For the longest time, though, I was having the hardest time. Then all of a sudden, I'm able to have like all this food that I had. I had like a half a pound of roast beef. I had some fresh mozzarella. I had some cheddar cheese that were in my eggs. I had 4 eggs, fully, no, not just yolk, but the full eggs. I had 2 chicken quarters and a whole stick of butter. So that's a lot, and that was just the one meal. And then the meal before that, I had 3 burger patties. No, no, actually, I'm wrong. I'm sorry. I had a steak, about a pound and a half of steak, with another stick of butter. So I had a lot of food yesterday. Today I was not as hungry, but sometimes it just happens. Sometimes your body is just like, I need to eat. And
Yeah, it was. I think yesterday, I decided I don't know if I want any beef or I don't want this. So I decided to give a trial, and so like when power's out, I have some store like spam and stuff like that, just in case if the power goes out and I can't be able to cook, I have something to eat, or we have something to eat. And so I decided to do it in the air fryer. So I took the whole can of spam, took this, wiped it down, put it in there for about 15 minutes, and I'm like, man, this stuff is good. I think I'm going to buy me a decent cheap air fryer, put in my deal, and this is what I'm going to take to Acuna, and I'll take me some of this spam with me for a kind of a meal and some beef sticks and some what do they call that? Some pocket bacon with me, and I'm like, this will be good for me for the next 3 days. I can do this.
Yeah. The heck with that. I use suitcase bacon. I don't use pocket bacon. I
And
just
there we go. That's what
I,
it's going to be.
I just get a whole
It'll be
suitcase.
suitcase bacon because it'll be about
Like, why do you
two
have
or
three?
three.
Why do you have three suitcases for? Well, one's for my, for my tchotchkes if I get any souvenirs. The other one's for my clothing, and the other one's for my bacon.
And
So
then I have my two totes that with tools.
yes. So the second one that Lizzie did was I thought was funny is for some reason when I see almond milk, I think about roaches. I think it's roach milk. Okay.
I'm sure there's some roaches in that almond
I
milk when
wouldn't
they
doubt
make
it.
it.
I mean, what was the actually I don't even think it's a rumor, but what they were saying about peanut butter that actually has like pieces of bugs and mice hairs and you know and
Well, I don't put it past that because I used to eat that a lot, and that's one thing that when I went carnivore, I used to eat a lot of it. Even when I went keto, I just get the no added sugar Jif, and I'd eat that, and I quit eating since carnivore. I quit eating that stuff, but I don't put it past that has that kind of stuff, almond butter, all that stuff.
yeah. um I mean, oh, I okay, I love peanut butter too. Okay. I was clicking on a different question, but Ricky's came up and like got in front of it. So Lizzie's asking, is spam chopped up bologna?
No, actually, it's pretty much it's pork, water, ham, and salt.
Yeah. I mean, doesn't spam, I think there's different definitions of what spam stands for, but isn't one of the definitions spicy ham, basically?
I don't know. All I know, the only definition I know is the one from Bill Engvall: stuff posing as meat. And it was part of his broke food thing. You ever been so broke you eat broke food? And as he goes, he was talking about spam, and then he says, "My favorite broke food got to be macaroni and cheese. 4 boxes for $1." And then as he goes on, he says at the end, "But you don't want to mix spam with macaroni and cheese. The grease from that spam hit that powdered cheese, it gives, I can't remember, it'll give a something about a taco fart, you blow away, and they say you can blow hair off a dog's back."
Okay. So Bride's Biscuit um, says, is there a certain amount of bugs the FDA allows for your cereal? Yeah, as much as you can have without noticing you're having it. That's probably
Especially if you have red number 40 or red number. I know they outlawed one of the red dyes now, but I know that red dyes is made from some kind of red bug that they crush up and then add a little bit of petroleum to it and chemicals, and you're good.
and give Sandy some uptime. She said 50 years ago, I was drinking a bottled Coke. It was filled with dead baby roaches, freaked me out. Yeah, I probably would be pretty freaked out too, if that happened to me. And of course, Lisa says, "Ooh, Sandy." I'm just hearing a lot of different things about things being. Now that okay, this is kind of weird to me. All right, and I know we're kind of getting into a whole different mindset here. Sandy, when I was a kid, this is Ricky Lee. When I was a kid, my grandparents' house during a party, I drank from a can of Coke. Oh, I get it now. Okay. I'm like thinking like, okay, did the Coke come with the cigarette butts or did somebody put cigarette butts in it? obviously at the party somebody put cigarette butts in it. Um, I remember hearing the story because I was like 3 at the time. So how much do you remember when you're 3 years old? But my mom told me the story about how, I don't know why this is coming up. But so I was about 3 years old. My mom and dad had a party, a huge outside barbecue party. Now they're adults, so obviously there's lots of adults and lots of alcohol. Well, it started raining during this time, and there's like all this whole picnic table full of drinks. Everybody ran inside, and then it stopped raining. Well, guess who the first person that went outside was? It was me. So I go outside, and being the experimental baby that I was, I actually decided to drink from everybody's cup of all the alcohol. So needless to say, I slept for a few days. Doctor's like, he's fine. He's just out of it. He's drunk. He's drunk to it out of his mind. It's probably the first time I've ever been really drunk was when I was 3 years old, a 3-year-old lush. And everybody in the chat is like, that explains a lot. um, and another time, I actually put my tongue in an electric socket. That was another weird thing I did.
I touched electric fence. It's like, oh, what's this? I'm like, oh, don't touch that.
Yeah, actually, you want to hear something really cruel? Because I was a witness to it, and like it was funny. I'm not going to die, but my nephew was probably about 8 years old, and they were going to go on a trip, and they rented a Winnebago, and I always used to call them Winnebagels, like you want a bagel. But they had a different dog at the time. It wasn't Cosmo. I forget which dog it was though. And they had one of those collars, those shock collars, that if the dog goes past a certain spot, then the dog would not be able to escape. Well, the collar was on the ground, but it was still left turned on. So my brother-in-law went to my nephew and said, "Hey, Joe, can you bring me that collar, please?" So I think you can get the rest of the story on that one. So Joe got it. And I like looked at my brother like, "Did you know that was turned on, Phil?" He goes, "I suspected, but I wasn't sure." I'm like, "That's mean."
It's just like the electric fence chain because you can, if you have a group of people and you have one person, you hold each other's hand, and the first person in the front grabs electric fence, you won't get shocked; it goes right through you. But the person on the very end gets bit.
Like, ah. Oh my god. So this was. I'm trying to look for questions. Yeah. Carnival Whisper says emotional damage. Yeah. I mean, Joe turned out pretty good, so I think he's okay. Um, and Sandy says her brother and her made a game touching the electric fence.
That's it right there.
I dare you touch it. Touch it for 5 minutes. Don't let go.
Or pee on the electric fence.
Yeah. Not sure what this refers to, but mindset that was diplomatic. You can say y'all are nuts. Okay.
Hey, y'all, that's good.
Yeah.
Redneck.
Yeah. Before I saw a comment saying LOL or something like that at Mitch, and I'm looking. I'm like, is Mitch here? I couldn't find anything with Mitch, so I guess they were just talking about Mitch, but not really sure what brought that into play. Um, so we'll put this out. for a deeper reason. My science teacher did that to us in grade school. We all held hands that that he cranked and he cranked the handle. So I guess it would be considered an experiment for sure. And Bryce Biscuit says, I think I had Uncle Fester for science. So Dr. Nelson was your science teacher? Sorry.
Wow,
I
he
could
was
not
a
resist. I don't think any of us could resist that, you know. I just
so Dr. Nelson not only was a medical doctor, and now he helps Dr. Kiltz out with Kiltz Health, but he was a science teacher. Wow.
right.
He
And
was,
and he
he
was
has a good sense of humor.
yeah, I mean, actually, when I showed him the video I did, announcing he's coming, because I mean, to me, he's my first doctor, so he was pretty, he's pretty big, to me. And not that none of you guys are big, I just you're not doctors. But so I did a short bring like announcing that he's coming to my channel tomorrow or whatever, and I did the Adams Family theme song when
I
I
remember
did it.
seeing that. That was
Yeah.
awesome.
And he actually he I something like that, you don't know if the person's going to like it or not like it. And he at least showed he liked it and that he was okay with it. um I mean, we make a
And
joke, you might as well carry on with it. And
that's where you should have Rick as a trail say, "You rang." I
yeah,
can't do it like he can.
you rang. Yeah. Yeah, Rick is. I mean, now speaking of voices, I have to admit, your Kermit the Frog is,
I'm not perfect, but yeah, I'm Kermit the Frog
yeah, like
because I
hi.
saw Kermit.
Yeah, mine's more like hi. I'm Kermit the Frog. I'm here. Yay! So it's. I think we're both about the same in equal. I'll give Microsoft credit. I'll give you credit that they're still pretty good.
Yeah,
But
not good as Jim
Kermit's kind of like
Henson.
a lost art anyway. So
Yeah,
not too many people really know about Kermit the Frog. They do and they don't. It's like, who's Kermit? Like, oh yeah, that frog that like,
and
uh,
then you have I'm Elmo.
yeah. Let me see. Let me see if I can do Elmo. Hi, hi, my name is Elmo. How are you doing today?
And then my favorite of all the Sesame Street character is Cookie. I'm Cookie Monster. Yum 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 yum.
Now, in my defense, I'm not able to do the voices as well because I do have a sore throat, so I am kind of working, so it kind of interferes. But I'm just giving myself a little defense there. Okay. So, so Kelly can beat me up when it comes to that. You know. Um, and Lisa says, "Here we go." Where are we going, Lisa? Oh, and Rick says the silly voices. Well, how about yours, Rick? You rang. You rang. Um,
Normal. I'm not normal. Who's normal? Not me. I don't
what
want to
what
claim to
what
be
does normal
normal.
even mean? What is
I
that?
don't know what normal. If I don't want to be normal. If normal is the blah and not fun and serious, then I don't want to be normal.
And Lisa says, "Pass them if you got them." What am I passing? I don't mean to be mean, but I am I passing gas? What am I passing? I mean, it's
Strawberry poop gas.
yes, strawberry. Yeah, I think if I have Rick on my channel again, I think I'm gonna see if I can like get that song and like play that in the beginning intro. Just Rick, if you come on my channel like to be a guest, remind me to put that out. I'll like beforehand, I'll like get it set up. So then that way it just comes right on. Yeah, I actually have a new song that Amy made for me, and she put it out, but I need to do a video because I guess that's tradition that you have to do your own video with the song too. And I just haven't been able to make a video special enough for that song, you know?
Yeah, I gotta wait to pay. I if I'll probably go through her live stream, but then if I win, I'll be like great. I may even just put a little, donate a little bit through there because I know it costs money to do
Yeah,
that. But that's why I emailed her just to how much it costs. So I've thought about getting my character because mine is going to be called Sirloin Crusader.
is it like a French fighter or something like that?
I
Sirloin.
don't know. Of course,
Like, wee
she asked
wee.
me. What kind of genre of music. Well, I like for that. If it's gonna be that, it need to be like classic rock or the rockabilly. The country rock or whatever. I listen to mostly country, but
Yeah.
it's got to be that rock genre or that country rock or that hill or that rockabilly genre. So
Well,
you
it's funny
know,
when she did my song, she never even asked me what kind of genre I like, and I actually do watch. I probably listen to country more than any other stuff. I listen to all kinds of music, but country probably is a little bit more close. For some reason, all my family likes country. It's just like the one thing we have in common, and so it's weird that she picked country for the new song for my avatar. It's sort of like, hmm. So I guess I remind her of somebody in country, that she would actually, because I never told her what kind of music I like. At least I don't think I did. Maybe I did. I don't know. But, I think Rick's, this song is perfect. I'm the Duck Man and Swamp Cat. I think
Swamp
it's actually
Cat.
perfect. All right. Well, I just got the notice that my stream is going to end, and I don't say what the stream is because I have a EVMUX.
That's what I have
That's
because I
my
use it.
yeah.
That's what I use for my when if I do like not the live stream but record a video where I can use the web pages. And I was going to try to use StreamYard, but StreamYard was expensive and
It is.
for $49 a month, which I'll probably go ahead before I have my surgery and stuff. I will go ahead and pay the full year so I wouldn't have to worry about that. But
Mhm.
still, I could do everything I want with this Emux versus the StreamYard that they want to pay, that they want to charge outrageous prices for.
Right. Um, and Lisa just said that she was born in 71. So that means you're 1 year older than I am, Lisa. So just to let you know. So we're not that far apart in age, if you thought we were. Um, so we're going to end it here and just hold on a couple seconds, Kelly. And so, everybody, thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. I'm sure Kelly is more than flabbergasted that you were here as well. And until next time, which actually Saturday, I'm going to be interviewing Coach Rebecca Bavry. I had a thing for a second there. So stay tuned for that. I hope you guys will be here to watch that and live, love, heal, and for God's sakes, people, do I have to keep on saying it to you? Eat the meat.